Good morning. You're tuned into another edition of the PreMarket PulseScan report with yours truly, Dex, the Algo Capitalist, aka the Vulcan, coming to you live from PulseWaveTrading.com, home of the world famous PulseWave price trigger report that we put directly in your hands each and every day. That's how we roll. That's what we do. So let's get it. All right. So basically, markets are taking a little bit of a breather today, trying to digest, determine, ascertain where they want to go from here. Been straight up, even in the face of all types of disastrous news reports, both economic and otherwise. The question that many people are asking as they shake their heads, what in the world is going on? How can the stock market rally in the face of such nonsense? What in the world is going on? I think a lot of people are finally waking up to the idea that the world as they knew it literally has changed overnight. While no one else was watching, while no one else was paying attention, these effects took place. And I have to say, we've been covering it here. We've been talking about it nonstop. It's what we do. We go in, we deal with hard, difficult discussions that other people refuse to talk about. They don't want to even have to think about it. They don't want to hear dissension, anything that is going to wake them up from their programming can be and is dangerous. All right. Truth can be violent and dangerous, not violent in the sense of causing violence to both personal and private property or to individuals, but violent in the sense of truth, when acknowledged and finally dealt with, can cause violence to your worldview. It is violent to wake up to a new reality, to see that what you thought was reality all along is fake, is wrong, is disgusting. Well, that is the world we live in, ladies and gentlemen. It is a brave new world. While everyone was sleeping, while everyone was taking a nap, these things transpired. It's not your fault, though. It is not your fault, not at all. You had no way to know. There was no way you could have even known. It's just what it is. No way you could have known what was going to transpire, especially if you weren't, quote unquote, awake. If you never digested the red pill, then you have no idea what I'm talking about, because you're probably still unconscious to the realities around you. Once again, it is not necessarily your fault. It just is what it is. So with that, on that topic, on that point, we're going to move right in to the overnight markets and the overnight news, and then we'll keep it pushing. How does that sound? All right, so this is what we're looking at for today. All right, moving my cursor here to the overnight markets, which have been pretty quiet. You'll see that in a second. Okay, here we go. All right, so the Dow futures is down 69 points at 26,160, struggling to hold that 26,000 range. We did push higher to 26,347 in the overnight. NASDAQ 100 is down 7.5 at 96.76 3/4. E-mini S&P 500 is down 13 points at 31.04 3/4. The Russell, which I made my hustle, is down 10.6 points at 1438.4. Bitcoin Futures Composite Index still caught in that trading range, up $90 at current, trading at 97.45. The nat gas is unchanged at $1.82. Crude oil futures are down 40 cents at $36.92 per barrel. The long bond is down 18.30 seconds at 174.30. And gold is up $14.90 at 17.19 $1,719.60. Silver is up 7 cents at $18.03 an ounce. US dollar is at 97.22, down 5 pips. All right, the euro dollar is up 16 pips at 112.57. Pound sterling is down 37 pips at 125.52. Australian dollar is off 13 pips at 69.20. Canadian dollar is up 26 pips at 135.22. The euro yen is off 30 pips at 122.34. The dollar yen is off 7 pips at 108.84. The New Zealand dollar, known as the Kiwi, is pretty much unchanged. If anything, it looks like it may be about up a pip. It's at 64.26. All right, the soybean futures right now are up 3 points at 8.60 half. Corn is up 1 3/4 points at 3.25 3/4. And wheat is up 6 1/4 points at 5.18 1/4. All right, overnight market news. Look at the stock market now. Trump cheers record rally and predicts the U.S. economy will roar back next year as the pandemic tanks growth. The president's bullish tweet comes out as protests march on across the country, and the coronavirus pandemic continues to weigh on growth and employment. The ECB announced $600 billion, which is $675 billion in US dollars, in additional stimulus to help the Eurozone fight the coronavirus. In a Thursday announcement, the central bank said it was expanding its PEPP, which is Pandemic Emergency Purchase Program, to a total of 152 trillion US dollars. Germany agrees a fresh $146 billion stimulus plan to fight the economic impact of coronavirus, days after the EU's record-breaking proposal. German Chancellor Angela Merkel said the country will slash its VAT from 19% to 16% for 6 months as of July the 1st. Consumers might abandon credit cards and push $100 billion of spending onto debit cards every year because of coronavirus. A Visa executive says Visa's U.S. credit card volumes fell sharply in May year on year, while debit card usage grew 12%, according to the SEC filing this week. An oil CEO says crude prices could surge 90% to $70 by fall because U.S. firms have overcut production. Dan Ebert, CEO of Canaries, said the U.S. has overcut production, so there's going to be a mini supply shock for the oil market, U.S. oil market. How is that possible when just a few weeks ago we were at negative $100 a barrel in crude oil, saying that there's a glut worldwide? You cannot have it both ways. Either we have this super glut and storage facilities are all filled to capacity with like 1 billion light years worth of oil, or it's not. You can't have it both ways. There's nothing to justify $70 in oil this year, period. Not when you were just at a negative $100. Come on, get off of it. Amazon in talks to buy $2 billion stake in Indian mobile operator Bharat Airtel. The planned investment would mean Amazon acquiring a roughly 5% stake based on the current market value of India's third largest telecom company. LVMH says it is not considering buying Tiffany shares via the market. LVMH, the owner of Louis Vuitton. Y'all ladies know you love that Louis Vuitton. They secured an agreement to purchase Tiffany in November, but it has not closed the deal. Global stocks are mostly down. In Europe, Germany's DAX fell 0.5%, Britain's FTSE 100 fell 0.4%, and the Euro Stoxx 50 fell 0.5%. In Asia, China's Shanghai Composite fell 0.2%. Hong Kong's Hang Seng rose 0.2%, and Japan's Nikkei rose 0.1% at the close. In the U.S., futures underlining the Dow, S&P 500, and NASDAQ fell between 0.2% and 0.4%. Earnings expected today is Toshiba and Tiffany. Those are the highlights. And on the data docket, continuing jobless claims, which already came out, non-farm productivity, and the U.S. 4-week bill auction are all due for release. I tell you, it's always numbers, right? You can't have a day basically without some type of numbers coming out. It's just how it is, the world we're living in, the information age, right? All right, let's move it on. Let's move it on. Let's move it on. All right, so here we go. Let me get out of this one. All right. Okay, you know, Ian Hayden from many appearances on CNN and other networks celebrating his heroic act of volunteering to test Moderna's experimental COVID vaccine. The sun has now set on Hayden's television career. He is no longer useful to the farm media narratives that all vaccines are always safe for all people, that Moderna's business partners, Tony Fauci and Bill Gates, were justified in skipping animal studies, and that Moderna's vaccine will soon rescue us from the pandemic. Ian Hayden is now an embarrassment to Fauci, Gates, and their CNN cheerleaders. He will therefore vanish into the censorship twilight. Moderna chose Hayden for the study because of his robust good health. He was among the 15 volunteers in the high-dose group. Within 45 days, 3 of these, a shocking 20%, experienced serious adverse events, according to Moderna's press release, meaning they require hospitalization or medical intervention. Less than 12 hours of vaccination, Hayden suffered muscle aches, vomiting, spiked a 103.2-degree fever, and lost consciousness. His girlfriend caught him as he fell. His Moderna trial supervisor instructed Hayden to call 911 and described him as being the sickest in his life. Moderna let Hayden believe the illness was just a sad coincidence unrelated to the jab. Moderna never told Hayden he was suffering an adverse event. Moderna's press release was the first I learned of the 3 AEs in the high-dose group. Hayden confessed last week on Twitter. Later, a study doc confirmed that what happened to me was an AE. While hiding this truth, Moderna encouraged Hayden to appear on TV to deceive the public and its shareholders by declaring Moderna's COVID vaccine trials a smashing success. On May 7th, Hayden told Sonia Gupta about his reactions in a pre-interview. The two men agreed to keep this bad news secret when he went on air. This corrupt deal bespeaks the pathetic state of journalism at CNN. Fauci and Gates are proceeding with their plan to funnel $500 million taxpayer dollars into their reckless vanity project to create 30 million doses by November and 2 billion within a year. All right, this is from a personal interview from a Moderna insider. And of course, this will be manufactured in the US and Switzerland. I have to tell you, man, I have to tell you. You don't understand it, but the White House COVID-19 response team is made up of Big Pharma and Bill Gates operatives. Read it and weep. It is what it is, you guys. The vaccines, as you see here, they don't work. They just don't work. And they're not going to work. It is what it is. Deal with it, ladies and gentlemen. You know, the messed up part in all of this is that no matter what anyone does, no matter what anyone says, people are still not going to listen. They're not going to believe it, and they're not going to care. It is sad, but it is true. Just like Black Americans being killed in these ridiculous riots all across American cities. The riots have led to more death, especially among Black Americans. At least 4 Black American men and 1 biracial woman have been killed in riots wreaking havoc on American cities over the last week. I told you Black lives did not matter. When are you going to start listening to me? And when I say that, I mean they don't matter to Black people because they're killing each other. Rioting first started on May the 28th in Minneapolis, Minnesota, over the death of George Floyd, who was allegedly murdered by police officer Derek Chauvin. Since then, the riots have spread to major cities like New York, Los Angeles, Seattle, Portland, Oakland, Louisville, and St. Louis. The riots have led to more death, especially among Black Americans. The victims include David Patrick Underwood. On May the 29th, David Patrick Underwood, 53 years old, was killed during the riots in Oakland, California. Underwood, according to police, was trying to keep the peace during the riots when he was fatally shot. My brother Dave Patrick Underwood, a federal officer, was murdered on May 29th in 2020 in Oakland, California, while on duty during the riots. Underwood's sister wrote on her Facebook page, "The violence must stop." Ladies and gentlemen, when are people going to wake up? When are you going to wake up? David Dorn. On the night of June the 1st, David Dorn, a 77-year-old retired St. Louis, Missouri police captain, was shot and killed by looters who broke into a pawn shop. Dorn's murder was allegedly streamed live on Facebook, but has since been taken down. All right. Italia Marie Kelly. On the evening of May the 31st, 22-year-old Italia Marie Kelly, a biracial woman, was killed in a random shooting as she was leaving a protest in Davenport, Iowa. Kelly had been attending a protest after work in support of George Floyd, but decided to leave when the crowd became unruly. That's when police said Kelly was struck by a random bullet, likely killing her instantly. She was always smiling, always laughing, Kelly's aunt told the Associated Press. That's why it's so sad that she was taken in such a violent way. That is not Italia. She was the bright, bubbly, big personality in the room. David McAtee. On June the 1st, 53-year-old David McAtee was shot and killed in Louisville, Kentucky during riots. According to police, law enforcement had been clearing a crowd in the area when they heard gunshots and returned fire. McAtee was hit by one of the bullets and died. The incident is under investigation. We lost a wonderful citizen. David was a friend of many, a well-known barbecue man, Louisville Mayor Greg Fisher told the Associated Press. Chris Beatty. On May 30th, Chris Beatty, a 38-year-old real estate broker and former Indiana University football player, was shot and killed by rioters in Indianapolis, Indiana, who were on a robbing spree. An eyewitness said Beatty had been trying to stop two thieves from robbing two women of their purses, telling them, "You don't need to do this. There's a better way." The thieves then shot Beatty, killing him. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. This is the result of the riots. This is what this is. Think about it. Let it sink in. These are real people that had real lives. All right. Link dropped in the live chat. I have to say, man, there's just no words for this type of ridiculousness. And the part that makes it so sad is that this is being pre-planned and orchestrated. And it seems like people just don't get it. They're allowing this to happen. They're taking part in it. You have these large organizations that have deep pockets. You got Antifa, you got Black Lives Matter, all of these different groups that are being funded by George Soros and other entities because they want civil unrest in America so they can push forward the next leg of their agenda, which is total martial law and lockdown. And the messed up part is not just these provocateurs doing all of this, but then you have the actual citizens getting involved too, killing their own people. I told you, Black lives do not matter to Black people. When are you going to listen to me on that? No one wants to hear it. It's like they become tone deaf. Well, here's something that's going to really punch you in the face. Economists warn rioting could lead to bigger government and more socialism. Socialism is looting with the middleman. Protests have rocketed the U.S. in the wake of George Floyd's death in the hands of a Minneapolis police officer. In some areas, peaceful protests have crossed the line into violence and looting. But the real question is, what are the long-lasting political ramifications that will come out of the unrest? Peter Schiff talked about it during a recent podcast and worried that it could lead to bigger government and more socialism. The entire nation is going to end up grieving a far greater loss when it comes to individual liberty and economic freedom. As a result, a lot of misguided, though maybe well-intended legislation. Peter specifically singled out Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, who has tried to justify the more violent protests and the looting. The implication is that people are entitled to go out and take what's not theirs if it's not being given to them by the government. The problem is, at its core, socialism is legalized looting. That is what socialism is all about. It's about using the power of government to plunder, to loot what belongs to other people. So instead of looting directly, you're doing it indirectly by voting for somebody who's going to loot on your behalf. But you see, once you've accepted that moral principle, that it's okay to take something that doesn't belong to you, why not cut out the middleman? I mean, that's what the looters are doing. They're just being efficient. Peter said he thinks that the unrest will inevitably lead to more government programs and handouts, and that nobody seems at all concerned about how much it will cost or who would pay for it. And part of what's driving this is a growing belief that nothing costs any money. They're believing that money grows on trees. Because we can have whatever we want. Just print the money, right? Nobody is asking what anything costs. Consider the push for slavery reparations. In the first place, there's the challenge of figuring out who would be eligible for them, and then who would be responsible to pay. But if nobody gets stuck with the bill because nobody actually gets one, nobody's taxes actually goes up. Hey, we just print a bunch of money. The Federal Reserve just prints the money to cut the reparations checks. It's all for free. So why deny somebody something that they're going to get for free? Of course, nothing is free. Like my man Reggie Middleton once said, some of the most expensive things in life are free. You don't realize how expensive they are until you get involved with it. And then you realize what the true cost of it is. The money that would be created in order to fund these programs, in addition to all of the money that is already being created, is going to help destroy the value of the dollar and potentially result in hyperinflation, rendering any reparations payments worthless. So not only are the reparations payments worthless, but everything else is worthless. Peter also touched on income inequality. He said it's not a failure of capitalism, but a failure to have capitalism. The irony of it is it's the very government programs, it's the regulations and the subsidies and the taxes that have imposed over the years, over the generations, supposedly well-intentioned programs, were they all designed to help the very people that are impacted the most, that are hurt the most. It's these programs that are causing the problems. And more of these programs are just going to make the problems worse. The fix is to get rid of the programs that are causing the problems. Unfortunately, we're more likely to end up with more misguided regulations and government programs that are going to take a bad situation that has already been made bad by government and make it worse. In this podcast, Peter also talked about the impact of the violence and the looting on the economy and the markets. I have to say, man, this is one of those situations where if you don't open your eyes by now, oh, trust me, you're going to open them up sooner or later. All right? You're going to see it. Okay? Unfortunately, he's right. He's absolutely correct. They want to blame all the corruption on capitalism. Capitalism is not the issue. I agree with Peter. Capitalism, pure capitalism has not been allowed to operate. Instead, we've been having interventionalism. We've been having a whole bunch of isms, but we haven't been having capitalism. If we were having true capitalism, we would have real markets. We would have free markets. The markets will be free to find their price. They will be free to go up and down without intervention, without manipulation, without any of that. The real issue when it comes to government is corruption, ladies and gentlemen. The corruption has led to fascism, which is the merger of corporate and government. When you merge the two entities together to the point where you don't know where the corporation ends and the government begins, you have a problem. Capitalism is not the issue. It is the corruption. Corruption, ladies and gentlemen. Corruption. I say it again. Corruption. All right? That is the issue. I've talked about this before on this channel. All right? Right now, it's a corrupt world we're living in, and I think people are starting to see the layers being peeled off. That's what's really happening. You are finally taking the mask off. You're taking off the costume, and you're seeing that the pretty lady who you thought was olive oil, she's not pretty at all. It's the sea hag that fooled you, that made you think you were slow dancing with olive oil, but you were slow dancing with the sea hag. The ugly, disgusting, nasty sea hag. And that's what you're seeing. You're seeing the layers being peeled back on the onion, and the disgusting smell is causing people to pass out. Well, welcome to reality, ladies and gentlemen. I'm surprised that more people are not talking about the truth and the issues that are underlining our society. It's like people are afraid to talk. They're afraid that if they tell the truth in times of deception like we're living in now, that they're afraid of the backlash. They don't want to be ostracized. They don't want to be marginalized. They don't want to be rejected by their peers. People have become soft in their thinking, soft when it comes to their actions. Human beings have been reduced to the lowest forms of human behavior and human achievement. People are walking around acting like animals. Animals, I have to say, no, I don't want to disrespect animals. I think animals right now are operating on a higher mental capacity than most human beings right now. No one wants to deal with these facts. Ladies and gentlemen, you are getting the America that you voted for. You have repeatedly kept the same criminals in office. You have literally voted for the same criminals year after year. And then you have told yourself that it's okay to do so because you're voting for the lesser of two evils. So you're admitting to yourself that Republican and Democrat are both evil and corrupt. But you're going to pick and choose one. You're going to choose one you think is less evil. No, that is still wrong. You don't choose evil at all. You don't vote for evil at all. There's no such thing as the lesser two evils. Evil is evil. Why are you voting for evil every year and then you're shocked that you keep getting evil in return? You reap what you sow. You have sown evil, so now you are reaping evil of all kinds. You have opened the Pandora's box. You have danced with the devil, and now you must pay his due. That is what happened. All right, people, this is what societies look like when they are crumbling. This is what a failed state looks like. This is what a superpower looks like when it's on its last legs, when it's on its way out. No one wants to hear that. No one wants to deal with it. But now you're being forced to deal with it because the riots are coming to a municipality near you. Everyone was affected by the pandemic, by the shutdowns, the lockdowns. Everyone was affected. You could no longer hide and pretend that you didn't see it, that you didn't know nothing about it. Oh, if that was me, I would have did this and that. No, it is you. It was you, and you did nothing about it. You allow evil to triumph. The only thing necessary to let that happen is this: for good men to do nothing. That's all it takes. This is serious, ladies and gentlemen. I don't think I've been more serious. There's so many things that are going on. There's so many layers of lies that the West has been fed. People think that because you have money, that makes you righteous. You think that because you live in a superpower country, because you live in a country that is not a third world country, that you are somehow supremely blessed. These are not facts. These are not truths. You don't realize how you may have more money than the third world country, but technically speaking, you're worse off. You're worse off. You're worse off from many things. See, what you didn't realize is that wealth has its own separate problems. No matter what you do or where you go, when we're talking about sin, because that's what it boils down to. No one wants to say it. They're afraid to say that word, but it is. The love of money is the root of all evil. And as you're seeing, is the love of money being the root of all evil. This root is starting to branch and turn into a giant redwood tree. And this tree has many branches that are coming out of it. See, you think that the United States used to be this holy, godly place, and that it just needs to get back on track and it'll be okay. No, no, no. There's no such thing as the good old days. They don't exist. It never existed. You just didn't understand. You just didn't see the corruption that was going on behind closed doors. You were kept from that. All right. But this is truth. All right. This is the truth. This is what you are seeing. For years, people were silent because they were getting hit upside the head with a briefcase full of money. It's a powerful thing. I've told you guys this. It's a powerful thing. All right. It is a powerful thing. That briefcase full of money. It's a powerful thing. And it can cause people to reject their morals. It can cause people to reject the principles that they were raised with, what mama and daddy taught them. All right. It can make that go away. It can make you forget all about that. Forget about your morals. Forget about your ethics. Forget about everything that is right and decent. Come on over here to this side. Here's a briefcase for you full of money. Oh, that's not enough for you? You want a little bit of fame and a little bit of fortune to go with that? Don't worry about it. We got you. Just come on over here and we'll hook you up. That's what people are concerned about. People now, in this time right now, more than any other time in the United States history, we have people that are willing to die for attention. Everyone wants to be a social media celebrity. Everyone wants attention. Hey, look at me, look at me, look at me. We're living in the selfie generation. Selfie is just a shorthand for saying selfish. We live in a selfish generation. Everything is about me. You could care less about your fellow man. These riots are proving that point. For years, I was hated on because people say, you're so negative. No, I'm a realist, and I was trying to give you the real so that you wouldn't have to go through what you're going through right now. Some of you are finally beginning to wake up because everything was going good as far as you were concerned. You were doing well in your profession. You were able to buy yourself a home and a nice car and all these other things. And so you felt that everything was all good. You thought it was all good. It was all Gucci for you. You wasn't concerned about the next man. You wasn't concerned about your fellow man. As a matter of fact, you justified what you were doing. You said it doesn't involve me, so I'm not going to get involved. I'm not going to think about it. I'm not going to talk about it. I don't care. It has nothing to do with me. Those are those people over there. Let's be honest. Them people over there, those people over there. But now that things are coming home and coming full circle, now everybody is starting to be concerned. Now everybody wants to talk, but it's too late because now the toothpaste is out of the tube and you can't put it back. All right. This is the end result. This is what the world looks like. This is what a country, a nation looks like that forgets God. No one wants to deal with this. You're not going to be able to change people's hearts with your intellectual arguments. It's not going to work. You've been doing that all this time, and look where it has gotten you, America. You have thrown billions and billions of dollars into education because you said to yourself, Well, you know, people just need information. They just need education, 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 education. You are now so educated that you have become dumb. You're dumbed down with education. You thought education was going to be the key. But see, it's not education, it's the right education. Knowledge is just information. What you need is wisdom, America. The fear of God is the beginning of wisdom. But because you have kicked God out of the American society, out of your personal lives, out of every aspect of your being, this is where you are. You told yourself that you were exceptional, that you were better than all the other nations, and that you were doing God's work, interfering in foreign affairs, assassinating foreign leadership, instigating political coups in foreign countries, taking your bankers with their briefcases to foreign countries under the guise of giving them aid, when in all reality, you weren't there to give them aid. You were there to covet their raw natural resources. You gave them and put them into debt, giving them money, and you knew good and well they could never repay you because that was never your plan in the beginning to help anybody. Your plan was to take those natural resources. If you were truly about helping your fellow man, you would have funneled some of those trillions of dollars that went to black budgets. You would have took that money and made sure, if you were such the humanitarian, you would have made sure that there would be no jurisdiction, no city without running water, no city in the world without fresh potable water, fresh drinking water. You would make sure. But no, you think you're exceptional. Then why are there still towns in the United States of America that do not have indoor plumbing? I'll tell you why, ladies and gentlemen. It's corruption. All the billions and trillions of dollars that have been stolen from taxpayers could be used to make sure that everyone has access to clean drinking water. But to this day, we have seen the stock market hit all-time highs. Today, the stock market is trading at levels higher than they were 10 years ago, 20 years ago, 50 years ago, 100 years ago. 100 years worth of economic prosperity, if you use the stock market as your gauge of prosperity measure, you can say that the world has prospered for 100 years, and still you haven't done a thing to stamp out poverty. And any nation, any foreign country that does successfully stomp out poverty, you can't have that. You have to go over there and you have to mess it up and tear it up and assassinate their leaders. That's what you do. Yes, boys and girls, you probably were not aware of this, were you? There are nations on the earth right now, under the sound of my voice, they don't have any poverty. Everyone in the city, every citizen has a home to live in. No one is homeless. Everyone has a home to live in. Everyone has money, and everyone even has gold in their account. They have gold, physical gold, everyone, every citizen. But no, 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 the US couldn't have that because that's an embarrassment to them. No, we got to go over there and we got to assassinate the leader. We got to show that the leader is the devil and that we are the archangel Michael and we're coming to slay him. We're coming to do battle with this demon. It must be assassinated. Does it ring a bell yet? We're talking about Libya. We're talking about Gaddafi. Remember that? Remember that name? The one that they demonized and assassinated? The same leader that made sure that every one of his citizens had a home to live in. They built homes for every single last one of their citizens. Did you know that? Did you know that he made sure that every single last one of his citizens also had some gold? Did you know that? Did you know that all of his citizens were able to go to higher university for free, go to school for free? Did you know that? No, you had to go over there and tear that place up. Had to assassinate him. All right. America hates anyone who is more prosperous than they are. And then they want to flip it around and say, no, 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 it's the other way around. Other countries are upset and angry at our exceptionalism. They're mad at our prosperity and our democracy, which again is a lie. America is not a democracy. It has never been a democracy. It's a republic. It's not a democracy. Democracy is not government. Democracy does not work. Mob rule does not work. Doesn't work. So this is what we have right now before us. We have corruption at every level of government. This is why everything has been mismanaged and is being blamed on capitalism. America has not thrived in capitalism. It has not allowed capitalism to work. You think that everything has gone the way it is, the market's up, all these other things because of capitalism. No, it's not capitalism. It's corruption. They didn't want to have real capitalism. They didn't want to have free markets. They want corrupt markets. And that's what we have here, corruption, ladies and gentlemen. You see, it doesn't take long for elected officials to realize, hey, we can vote ourselves more money. And that's exactly what they do. They vote themselves more money. And so you have this corruption, this virus that is worse than the coronavirus. It's the virus of corruption, ladies and gentlemen. And do these individuals get prosecuted or sent to prison? No, no, no. No, not at all. They'll send Bernie Madoff to prison. Oh, of course. But you don't see government officials being hauled off to prison. Oh no, John Corzine can steal $1 billion. That makes him like the biggest bank robber in history. He took $1 billion and he hasn't spent 1 second in jail. They let him walk away. No problem, no harm, no foul. This is just unbelievable. It just takes a minute sometimes just to think about it. But yeah, this is reality, folks. This is what the world really looks like. This is what a nation looks like without God. This is what you wanted. You kicked them out of public schools. You kicked them out of every aspect of society. And in its place, you started producing more satanic programming, satanic television shows, satanic movies. You made Satanism cool. Being a witch, cool. It's great. It's fun. You can have whatever you want. Just do the right chant and magic spell, and boom, here you have everything. Well, this is what the results of that look like, ladies and gentlemen. Are you happy yet? This is what it looks like. So no amount of legislation is going to change people's hearts, because what you're seeing with these riots and all this looting, you're seeing the result of sin. Sin has permeated every aspect of our society. America has become a godless nation. A godless nation. And it is a big contradiction. And not only is it a big contradiction, but it is also a lie. America is a big lie. And this is what you get for that. Black lives matter. No, they don't. Not to black people, because black people abort 30 million of their babies every year. And they don't even bat an eye. No one's rioting over that. aborting babies. No one even cares. My body, my right. It's my body, so I have a right to kill it if I want. Yeah, but in most states, suicide is a crime. Go figure. But that's the world we live in. People are doing whatever they want to do, whatever seems right in their own eyes, they do it. They don't care. So this is what it looks like. This is the results of all of that. Last night, before turning in, the U.S. was threatening to cease all inbound Chinese airlines if China would not open up to U.S. airlines going the other way. On waking up, China has now allowed some limited U.S. airlines to enter, matching the ones going the other way. Negotiations will be short, as they say. Bilateral reciprocity achieved through threats. Don't think the message goes unnoticed in the U.S. Indeed, just as Hong Kong does not hold its annual 4 June commemoration of the 1989's Tiananmen Square, Secretary of State Pompeo tweeted an image of himself standing next to the wanted Chinese dissident. Imagine if the Chinese foreign minister was tweeting images with Edward Snowden. Moreover, the Wall Street Journal editorial yesterday by former World Bank head Paul Wolowitz argued the U.S. should instigate investigations into the foreign assets of senior members of the Chinese Communist Party to punish for its moves on Hong Kong. Still, let's ignore all that and allow markets to saying, come fly with me. Indeed, Germany has agreed a major fiscal stimulus program. The Europe's very own Nikita Khrushchev, let's see, blah, blah, blah. Angela Merkel managed to shepherd through the EUR 130 in tax cuts and spending, 30% higher than expected, though is a real achievement. According to them, there will even be new money for new things like 5G rollout. See, they have it always backtracks to their original agenda. Just as one German telco follows the lead of two in Canada and drops Chinese Huawei, more money for European firms then, and again, come fly with me, let's fly. They want to pump the markets up to infinity because they don't care about the sufferings of the people. The market loves to fly. Meanwhile, in the U.S., we saw the ADP's projection of U.S. job losses at only 2.8 million for May versus 9 million expected and 19.5 million for April, meaning that things are moving from the we can't even begin to describe it terrible to just the worst of the Great Depression era bad. Come fly with me, let's fly away. We've also seen the criminal charges against the police officers in the George Floyd case in the U.S. upgraded and widened to all 4 involved, which may go some way towards, calming the protester anger. There also appears from a great distance to be generally a more peaceful, if defiant, tone to the U.S. protests, although things remain extremely tense. The market naturally has no idea how this whole situation can be resolved in a market-friendly way, but presumes it will be just because. Lastly, we get to hear from the ECB. Kathleen Lagarde's been speaking since I started this broadcast. All right, so again, brushing everything off, sweeping it under the rug. It's not going to work. It's not going to work. At the end result of all of this, you know what it is. You know it's coming. It's already here. It's looking you in the face. No one wants to deal with all these issues. And then on top of that, we still have the free speech issue. Did you know that 3 British teenagers were arrested for mocking Floyd's death? You probably didn't know that, did you? Yeah. There's been a crackdown on free speech in France, in Germany, in England, in the United States. Though hate speech laws and speech regulations, they just keep throwing them out. As many people have already heard or probably experienced if you're on social media, You should be against limits on free speech. And you should be opposed to public and private forms of censorship. And that's just the way it is. You should be willing to stand up for everyone's free speech, including your own, because once they start taking the guy across the street's free speech away, yours is next. 3 British teenagers have been arrested for a Snapchat video mocking the death of George Floyd. It was a deeply offensive and stupid act, but the question remains whether society is criminalizing a wider and wider scope of speech. Remember the other day we covered the censorship bill thing that the Queen was doing. And the timing of that is very interesting as well. The teenagers posted the mocking Snapchat video, the horrific death of Floyd, who had a knee pressed on his neck as he begged to breathe. It is a scene that still horrifies most people. Yet these 3 idiots took a Snapchat to make fun of the tragedy. They have received death threats over the posting, and outrage grew as the pictures were shared on social media. We recently discussed how jokes are increasingly viewed as hate speech on campuses. We have previously discussed the alarming rollback of free speech rights in the West, particularly in the United States and Europe. We've seen comedians targeted with such court orders under this expanding and worrisome trend. This obviously is neither funny nor even comic. It's horrible. However, the solution to such bad speech is more speech. We denounce the students for their lack of empathy or humanity in mocking such a tragedy, yet England has been plunging deeper and deeper into speech controls. Arresting stupid teenagers for tasteless Snapchat parodies creates a chilling effect for all forms of speech. The question is what crossed the line between from the merely tasteless to the outright criminal. It is a highly subjective standard on what jokes trigger the criminal code. France bars incitement to racial discrimination, hatred, or violence on basis of race, origin, ethnic group, religion, or national identity. That includes such statements in private communications. In the United Kingdom, you can be arrested for language deemed threatening, abusive, insulting, or likely to cause harassment, alarm, or distress. The impact of these laws was evident in a recent poll of German citizens. Only 18% of Germans feel free to express their opinions in public. 59% of Germans did not even feel free expressing themselves in private among friends. And just 17% felt free to express themselves on the internet. This was a chilling effect. In silence, you can't even talk, really? Because you know your telephone's listening to you and all your other smart products. It silences large numbers of people who fear that they could be the next subject of a criminal charge. I'm telling you, man, people need to wake up. This stuff is happening. You can put your head in the sand, but only so long. You think it's not going to affect you because you don't say anything. You shut up and just take things. It's not going to save you. Because remember, it's not just talking about anything. It's about how people receive and perceive what you're talking about. You could say good morning as you pass me by on the street, and I could be offended by that. Therefore, you've just broken the law. They're making it so that you can't even talk to each other anymore. They don't want us talking to each other. They don't want us touching each other. Remember the pandemic rules, 6 feet apart, 6 feet apart. What are you doing? It's just a crazy world we're living in. I don't even know what else to say, folks. I mean, only other thing I can say to all this is, you know what, man? At the end of the day, you might as well just hunker down and get ready, man, because it's going to be a very bumpy ride. So do what you can, whatever. I mean, this is where we are, folks, and anything we can do about it because we've let things get too bad. This is what happens when you let things get too bad, you know? All right, so with that said, man, that's all I got. I ain't got nothing else for y'all today, man. I don't. I don't know what else can be talked about. I mean, you know what it is now, you know? It's either people are going to wake up and do something about it or that's just going to be it. Game over. You know what I'm saying? Um, Word on the street is when the fall comes, there's going to be another big, humongous round of layoffs because now we're starting to experience the ramifications and repercussions of the shutdowns and the shutting down of economies. This is the time, ladies and gentlemen, to come on over to PulseWaveTrading.com and learn how to trade these markets, regulated or not, manipulated or not. Learn how to extract money from these markets. It is the only way for you. How are you going to eat when you don't have a job? I'm just saying, folks. It's not hard. It can be done. It's being done every day. Come on over here and get this money. With that being said, I'm out. Remember, bulls make money, bears make money, and pigs get slaughtered. So remember to take what you can and give nothing back. And I'll see you in the trading room. I did post all of my working orders, and I will be updating that throughout the day. All right. So see you guys in the trading room. Peace.